Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to the CruiseTipsTV Unplugged podcast. This week on the show, we're answering questions from our wonderful Facebook group. Welcome to CruiseTipsTV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. It's Sherry here. I'm flying solo again. Mr. CruiseTipsTV still has a little wee bit of a cough, and we don't want to torture him by bringing him on the podcast. So I turned to our wonderful Facebook group and said, hey guys, co-host the podcast with me this week by giving me your best cruise-related questions. And I got to tell you, we have some really good ones here. We have about 11 or 12. It's not a huge amount of questions, but some of them are relatively in-depth. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to be talking about some port safety questions. We're going to be talking about travel insurance. We're going to be talking a little bit about some packing tips and things like that, and some things to do on Caribbean islands. I'm very excited about the Caribbean island discussion. I found some of the best excursions for this person who asked. So let's get into the first one here. We've got a question from Christy Gallo this week. Christy's going on her first Alaska cruise, and they are all good to go with excursions, but they wanted to see if they could find some seafood in a couple of the ports, specifically Skagway and Ketchikan. And so I let Christy know, since she was leaving already, I already responded to this question, wanted to make sure that she got an answer before she headed up. But I personally don't know of any seafood in Skagway. If anybody does, please do let me know, or maybe pop over to the Facebook post where we did this call for questions in our group and answer the question. But as far as I know, in Skagway, the best restaurant to head to is the Skagway Brewing Company. And that's kind of like beer. You got to try the Spruce Tip Ale there. And you've got comfort food things like loaded tater tots and nachos and sandwiches and burgers and stuff like that. But as far as seafood goes, I really feel like Ketchikan is going to be the place where Christy can find some good restaurants. And the one other thing that Christy mentioned was that her mom, who she's traveling with, has some mobility challenges. So they don't want to walk too far. So the suggestion that I have for you, Christy, is to go to Annabelle's. Annabelle's is a really cute little restaurant that is quite close to the port, depending on where you dock in Ketchikan. And they have some nice food. Now, I've heard that the Alaska Fish House is better for seafood specifically, but it's a lot farther down kind of the strip along the coast there in Ketchikan. But I think you're going to be fine with Annabelle's. I know they have really good clam chowder there. It's kind of an old Victorian style indoor decor, and it's cute. It's cute, and it's literally just across the street when you get off the cruise ship. So let me know how it goes, Christy. I know you're probably on your cruise right now and having an amazing time, and I can't wait to hear from you. The next question that I have comes from Marty Stepansky. Marty says, is there any more news if Princess Cruise Line will be discontinuing cruising out of Galveston after their last one in February 2026? So Marty, I'm still working on getting an official answer for this, but I'm pretty sure that that is the case. I'm only seeing them through February and March of 2026 on their website, and they haven't really made any announcements. I wasn't able to get a direct answer just yet, but I will let you know when I find out. it makes me sad to think about Princess pulling out of Galveston. It seems a little odd to me because there is so much growth down in that area. We've got MSC coming this November to Galveston. Carnival has a huge presence there. Royal Caribbean is there. Norwegian is there. Disney. So I hope that they don't. I hope that they can figure something out and bring another ship in or something. But it is pretty clear right now that it's probably not happening immediately unless they make some big shift and announcement. But if I get an official answer from them, I will let you know. Jolene Siri Newberger said she's going on a princess cruise to the Caribbean. And this is a question that I had a lot of fun with, Jolene. This just makes me want to book your itinerary. So Jolene, guys, is going to Princess Keys, St. Thomas, where she said they really want to go over to St. John's, which is a neighboring island, and then Dominica or Dominica, depending on how you say it and what you're, if you're from the Caribbean or not, Martinique, Antigua, and St. Lucia. So I did some research, Jolene, and I researched all of the excursions at Shore Excursions Group because they are the ones that I book directly with all the time. And here are some ideas for you. So Princess Cays, obviously that's Princess's private island destination. And you're probably, I would say you really don't need an excursion there. I would do, if you can, I would try to rent a clamshell for some shade. Or if you can afford it, get a cabana. I know they've gotten a little bit pricey over the years, but I think that it makes for a more relaxing day, especially if you're cruising in the hotter time of the year. And you said you're going soon. So that tells me that if you're going when it's still really hot in the Caribbean, September, October, for example, you would definitely want some shade over at Princess Cays. So see if you can't get yourself a cabana of some sort. They usually have fans or air conditioning in them, and at least you'll have shade. But if not, grab yourself a clamshell. If the clamshells sell out, you will be okay. I mean, you're going to be able to find shade at Princess Cays, and it's beautiful to walk around and swim and just enjoy if you don't specifically do anything. The last time we went there, we did not make any arrangements at all. We didn't get a cabana. We didn't get a clamshell. We walked around and swam and just enjoyed the beach, and it was perfect. And they have great free food there as well. So you can kind of enjoy that picnicky type food. And if you start getting a little bit sun weary, you can just head back to the ship. Okay, so the next port, St. Thomas. So Jolene wants to go to St. John, and some of the tours that I found for this one were amazing. There is, starting on St. Thomas, you can do a historic Main Street food tour. I thought that was kind of interesting. So if you wanted to maybe do 2 tours in one day, you could probably squeeze both of these in, Jolene. You could do the Main Street food tour if you're like, okay, I want to go to St. John, but maybe not for the whole day. I want to do something different. Try the food tour. I always love food tours, and this one looks like a good one. But they do have one called the St. John Sail and Snorkel that looks like a really good time. So that's another option for you. Okay, Dominica is an amazing island. Everyone who lives in the Caribbean that I've spoken to always says that they've been there and they loved it and they hike, or they want to go there and hike and go to the waterfalls. It's not a super beachy destination. It's more like lush and jungly. So you want to get yourself, for sure, if you go there, to the falls. That's one thing that you could probably do and enjoy a lot. But they also have a really interesting private tour that is so reasonable. They have something called the Private Special Dominica Favorites, and that one starts at $129 per person, and it's a totally private tour. They're going to take you to places like Emerald Pool, Trafalgar Falls, the Papillote Wilderness Retreat, and the Botanic Gardens. So it's very focused on the outdoors, and I'm sorry, $129 for a private tour? That is amazing. They also, though, they have food tours there, and I think that's one that you could focus on too, especially if you've been there before. But I really like the private tour that kind of gets you out all over the island, especially if it's your first visit there. Okay, then we have Martinique, and Martinique was the one where I had the hardest time deciding which tour I think you should do. Jolene, if it was me, I don't know how I would pick between these 3, but here are the choices for Martinique. On shoreexcursionsgroup.com, they have one called the South Island Tour. It's $105 per person, and you get to do all the authentic Martinique stuff. It's a 5-hour tour. It's a small group, and you're going to go to 6 different places. They're going to take you to a pottery village, a distillery, and Diamond Rock and some other spots. So that's a good one. That one looks like a good entry-level tour. Now this next one sounds super fun if you want a food tour. This one's called A Taste of French Martinique. It's $90 a person, and you go to Fort de France's hidden gems, like a rum tasting at Savannah Park, and all kinds of, different cuisine on a walking tour. That one sounds amazing. But here's the one that if you really have a splurge budget, oh my gosh, this one is amazing. So Jolene, you can do a private Martinique your way by Porsche. I'm not kidding you, a Porsche car with rum and champagne. So they drive you around in a Porsche and you get to see all of the sights, and apparently there's rum and champagne involved. So this is some kind of a sightseeing tour. The only trouble with this one is it's $500. It starts at $529 per person, but it does sound so unique and intriguing. So if you're looking for a little splurge like Alaska pricing here, that could be really fun. All right. Now for Antigua, we have 3 choices for you. Gosh, I feel like we could have done a whole podcast this week on just Caribbean excursions, but Antigua, great choices here as well. And all of these are good prices. There's a classic beach day that's on sale for $55 a person. And this one gets 5 stars. By the way, all of the Antigua tours that I'm about to mention, all 3 of them, 5-star reviews on Shore Excursion from customers who book the tours. And not all the tours are 5 stars, guys. If someone's got something honest to say, they're going to do it. All right, first one is that beach day. You're going to go hang out at a beach, white sand, pretty stuff, inexpensive. I have no idea how long that one is, but it looks like it's a good choice if you want to just do a beach day. This next one is, of course, a food tour because I'm always going to present those to you when I can. It's called Nicole's Table, A Taste of the Caribbean, $199 per person, and it talks about being kind of a culinary adventure and like a cooking class in the Caribbean. So that sounds amazing. And that one has 74 5-star reviews. And then you've got the Best Antigua Beaches Tour. Now, this is if you're like, okay, I get bored sitting in one place. I want to visit a few different beaches. Take me around. This one sounds so fun. So they take you to all of Antigua's top beaches. And it looks like it starts in St. John's, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think we have our last port here is St. Lucia. I need to get on this cruise, by the way, guys. I haven't been to a lot of these places, and they sound absolutely amazing. So here are my top picks for you for, what was it again? Yes, St. Lucia. I picked 3, a little bit of variety here. Very, for the most part, kind of outdoorsy. And we've got the Soufriere sail. So this one takes you on a 55-foot catamaran, and you get to sail around St. Lucia. Again, all 5-star reviews, 124 reviews, and it's on sale for $119. They have a zip line tour as well that is $89 right now. And then the one, I think I'd probably pick this one if I were Jolene. The Bay Gardens Beach Resort and Spa Day Pass, $135. You get to hang out at the 4-star Bay Gardens Beach Resort and Spa, eat some beautiful food, and get a luxurious back massage. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing for $135. So I'm assuming that the massage is included, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So make sure you read the instructions on this one if you pick it, Jolene. And let me know what you decide. You might be inspiring me to go do this itinerary because, oh my gosh, this looks incredible. So good. Okay, now we're going to switch gears a little bit here and help out Keith Shomaka with some tips for traveling abroad to cruise. So Keith said, we're doing a British Isles cruise in the summer of 2027 on Majestic Princess. Any Princess Cruise Line tips? What do we need to know? So Keith, without a doubt, you have 2 years pretty much to plan here. So I know it's going to be a wonderful trip for you. British Isles is so great. Good choice for summer because of all places to go in the summer, I don't think it's going to be boiling hot. I'm sure you could have some warmth up there. You could have some 90-degree days in the British Isles, but it's not as hot as maybe, certain places in North America, for example, or the Mediterranean or the more southern parts of Europe. So I think that was a really good choice. So packing wise, I want to make sure that you do everything you can to put a lot of emphasis on packing extremely comfortable shoes. That should be your key priority. Europe poses interesting challenges for cruisers sometimes because of the fact that you could be walking around very old towns with uneven surfaces. There could be cobblestones, dirt, and there could just be miles and miles of walking every day. So if you plan on doing a lot of walking, please wear in some good sneakers, some good walking shoes, or some sandals if that's what you prefer, and make sure that that is top of mind and that no matter what you do not pack brand new shoes with you. I would also recommend that you buy a high quality travel pillow for your flight. Get a travel pillow or two, test them out at home, make sure that they feel good on your neck. Everybody has different needs with travel pillows. Some people's heads fall sort of forward and you need something with front support. Other people have longer necks and you need a pillow that is designed for a longer or a bigger neck. And that is something you need to look for and make sure that you accommodate, because the last thing that you want is to be under supported with that. If you haven't booked your flights yet, Keith, I would also do everything you can to try to book a direct flight. And that may not be possible depending on where you live, right? Like you might have to take a connection through whatever area, but make sure that if you do have to take a connection, that you allow a minimum of 3 hours. I know that seems extreme, but you really, when you're connecting through Europe or going to Europe, you really don't want to mess around with like a 45-minute connection, because there can be additional security inspections and things like that that can really slow things down. And also, when the time gets closer, I don't know if you're cruising out of Southampton, if you're going to be out of England or, that whole area, but you might need to get an ETA visa. So check on the visas a little bit later, work with your travel agent on that, and you should be okay. And then the last tip I would have for Europe would be, if this is a port-intensive cruise, which I imagine that it is, if you're doing the British Isles in the summer, you might be like jumping from one place to the next without a lot of sea days. Make sure that you take rest days, or at least, if you're doing an excursion every day, make sure that those excursions don't start super early in the morning every single time, because what happens sometimes when people go over to Europe is that you end up getting pretty jet lagged on the way over. And then you jump into this port intensive cruise and it's exhausting. So make sure that you think about that and don't overschedule yourself. I know it's exciting to see it all and do it all, but you want to make sure that you give your body some time to rest. And of course, if you can, fly in as early as you possibly can.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
To your embarkation port. If it's worth exploring, you might want to do that. If you're flying into London, hang out in London for a couple days and then go down to Southampton. Southampton isn't really a place that you want to necessarily hang out beforehand. It's not really meant for that, but you could spend a couple days in London or something like that. But those would be my tips for you. Princess is a big topic, Keith, so I would probably go back and watch some of our Princess videos. But with Princess, it's nice if you can book a mini suite, if you can afford it. They have a lot of extra space in the cabin, so maybe watch for upgrades to a mini suite if you haven't already booked into one of them. Sometimes they're just a couple $100 more than a balcony, so something to think about, and you're going to love Princess. It's so great. We're going to start talking about the travel safety topic that came up recently. Michelle Parkin de Groot said, "Is it really as dangerous in Cologne, Panama as I'm hearing? We have a cruise stop there and there are 0 excursions posted." Yeah, I mean, if the cruise line is discouraging you from getting off the ship, that is definitely not a good sign, because their number one priority is your safety, but that if they don't want you getting off the ship, I would heed that. I did do a little look around on this, and travel.state.gov, which is the US's sort of travel advisory center, and travel.gc.ca, which is the equivalent of Canada, they both basically said right now that in Panama in general that you should take normal security precautions. I didn't see any major red flag warnings, but they did say that the Cologne province does have some higher crime and that you need to exercise caution. So I would wait it out, see if the cruise company, Michelle, offers excursions there, and definitely stick with those. That's probably going to be a better choice for Panama at this time. But again, I don't see any major ones. The one thing I would say, though, is Cologne is not a safe place just to walk around. So you don't just get off the ship and just go, let me buzz around a little bit. You either do an excursion or you stay on board. It's one of those two things. So hopefully that helps you. We do have another topic sort of related to this in a bit that we'll be talking about today. Lynn Wilson said she's going on Star Princess December 2026. She said, it is the Eastern and Western Caribbean adventure holiday. Any ports we should avoid getting off the ship due to unsafe conditions. Okay. Oh gosh, that question was right up against the other one. I thought that it was going to be a little later. My apologies, Lynn. We'll talk about it right now. So I looked at your itinerary and I don't see anything that's too glaring. We're talking about Cozumel, Belize City, Roatan, Amber Cove, Princess Keys, and then back to Fort Lauderdale. So I think you're probably okay with all of these. Of those, though, Belize City is one where when you take your tender in, you will only, if you want to just walk around, you can do that at the port area. There is a completely gated area, Lynn, that you could walk around in Belize City, but I do not recommend that you do that for entertainment because then you're not seeing beautiful Belize in the way that you should. I would recommend doing something to see either the ruins or the reef in Belize City. Otherwise, Amber Cove and Roatan, not bad. Some people say they don't really love Roatan. They feel like it feels a little bit sketchy. So book a tour. It's not a fun place to walk around, and you do not just want to walk around in Roatan or Belize, and really Amber Cove too. It's just not designed that way. You need to have something to do and you need to get out of the areas. But safety-wise, I don't think there's anything major to be concerned about where I would tell you, Lynn, to stay on the ship. That I would not do on any of those. Cheryl says, has Princess announced their next gen of ships being built or decommissioned in 2026 or 2027? I was able to ask one of my contacts there, Cheryl, directly about this. They do not have any ships on order. They do not have any planned announcements. And they do also not plan on decommissioning anything at this time, as far as my contact knows. This person is in the know and pretty high profile, so I think we can trust that as of now that is the case. But of course, these things always evolve, so we'll have to see what happens. But I did get an answer on that, and they said nope and nope, no decommissioning and no new ships right now. I think they have their hands full with Sun and Star, and we'll kind of see how that pans out and how the guests are loving it. Dale White. So Dale had to hit on the controversial topic with Carnival. Is Carnival reconsidering their new enhanced loyalty program, or are they doubling down on it? The truth is, we don't know yet. If John Heald's response is any indication from, the week or so after this first came out, John Heald came on. He's their brand ambassador and basically said, look, guys, of course we're going to take a look at all the feedback, and of course we're going to iterate this. I do think they're reconsidering it. I don't think they're going to fully, and this is a personal answer, I don't think they're going to fully reconsider it. I think there is going to be a major change. I don't think they're just going to go back to the old way. But I think they're going to somehow soften it. And hopefully what that will look like is, and this is just, again, this is my opinion, it'll look like loyal folks will be rewarded, and perhaps this new plan will touch on the newer cruising population that's coming into Carnival, because as this enormous cruise company, Carnival gets a lot of new cruise passengers every year, and if they adopted it for those folks, that would probably be something that they could do. But yeah, I think the backlash has been pretty intense, and they may roll it out and see how it goes and change very little, and then see if they start losing market share. But money talks. And if I think Carnival sees the booking patterns continue to be strong and they're not losing business as a result of it, they're only going to listen to guests as far as it impacts them financially, in my personal opinion. So there you go, Dale. A little editorializing by Sherry this week on that. Carmen says, perhaps a topic about what to do if we feel ill on a cruise. Oh, I know, Carmen. I feel like you're right. We could do an entire show on this. I think we probably have before, but it's definitely worth repeating because you never know when something could come up on a cruise. You guys, really could be anything. We've had so many things illness-wise in our family happen on cruises, and we don't always talk about it in our videos. Part of that is because when it's happening, it's really stressful, and it's the last time we're going to be turning the camera on and going, I have the flu or whatever, right? But we have had serious illnesses come up Our son got the flu on the very last day of a cruise one time, and we had to take him to the medical center on the cruise because we were really afraid to fly him home and kind of had to get clearance there. One member of my family, who shall remain unnamed, took poison oak with them on a cruise. It like developed after we got on the cruise, and we were like, what is going on? What's this itching and rash, right? Go to the medical center, and they're like, you guys, where do you live? And what have you been doing? And we told them, and they're like, oh, well, this particular poison oak and ivy is very rampant where you live, and we think you brought it on. So we had a miserable time with poison oak for a couple days, but we got some steroids, which is, a standard treatment for that, and some creams, and took care of that. But it can happen. And it's scary and it stinks, but there's, if you're feeling ill, if that was the question, Carmen, what to do if you're feeling ill on a cruise? Well, hopefully you've packed a few medications to get you by, all those major categories you want to hit in the medication department. Hopefully you've packed some things that will keep you comfortable until you can get medical care. And if it's minor, you may not need it, right? So if you're feeling ill, you hopefully have got some pain relievers, some cold medications, and some tummy medications that can help you out in the meantime. But really, when in doubt, one of the best things to do is just pick up the phone and call the medical center. You don't even have to go there. On a lot of cruise ships, you can call them first and say, this is what's going on. Do you need to see me? Do I need to come down here? And, ask them what to do. But really, kind of going back to the beginning here, it all comes back to travel insurance, you guys, because if you have not purchased travel insurance with good medical coverage, you're going to be afraid to call the medical center if something goes wrong. So this is why booking some kind of a travel insurance with good coverage is so key, because then you don't have to have fear of the medical center. You can go, if they have to charge you, you can seek reimbursement with your receipt when you get back home on land to either the cruise company that you bought the insurance through, or through the third-party insurance company, which in our experience, by the way, has been handled very swiftly and very efficiently, and we have always been reimbursed, which is a good thing. But yeah, it's a tough one. But my best advice is pick up the phone, call them and say, okay, these are my symptoms. Do you want me to come down? Sometimes they'll even send someone to your room to do like a COVID test, a flu test, or whatever. I have seen some other folks this year say that you can now buy COVID and flu tests. Like there's combo COVID and flu tests that you can purchase and pack with you, so that if you start to feel ill, you could test yourself and know if you need to quarantine. So that could be another way to approach it. I mean, obviously, if you think you have a virus, you should probably stay in your room anyway. Regardless of what it is, if you're feeling sick, you should probably stay in. But it is good to know if you have, if you have something serious like influenza or COVID. That way you can minimize the contact with other people. So anyway, Carmen, we just softly touched on that, but I thought that I would address it anyhow. Lori Hornbecker said, what are some of the main things that you consider when choosing a cruise line that fits your vacation style? I know, I feel like this is such a good topic. I mean, the first thing, as an experienced cruiser, I may look at this a little bit differently than a new cruiser, right? A new cruiser has so many things to consider, from budget to their overall cruising style to the culture of the cruise line. What is the vibe going to be like? What are the activities going to be like? What's the demographic going to be like? What age of people do you want to travel with? And will that cruise line be the right fit for you? So those are all things you can work with a travel agent on. Or if you have a friend, if you're new to cruising and you have a friend that's been on a lot of cruises, talk with them, pick their brain, and knowing your personality, they can probably help you out. But for me, I usually ask myself, is this trip a good, is it a good fit for my vacation style? I also ask myself, can I drive to the port? Sometimes I just want to drive to my port. It's nice. I don't have to book a flight. I don't have to pay for it. And that's a huge selling factor. I might repeat a cruise just because I can drive to it. So for me, convenience is another one. Obviously, budget and affordability are big. Asking myself, does this fit in my budget right now? Is this how much I want to spend right now? And what kind of cabins are available at the moment? Do I have good cabin choice? Or are they picked over and I'm going to end up in a bad location? Stuff like that. And then, of course, do I like the ports? Does this offer new ports for me, ports that I love? Or are the ports kind of lame? We all have our most and least favorite ports. And I think that can be a factor as well. And then for me too, at the point that we're at in our life, Lori, The one thing I look at is, does the cruise line offer a slightly larger cabin for my family with a bit more space, because we're traveling as a party of 3 and I have a teenager now. It's a little different than when he was a little tiny boy. We need a little bit more space these days. So I really try to find something a bit more sizable that has either maybe the ability to book a junior suite or a mini suite. And for me, Holland America actually wins out in this category because their balcony cabins are quite large and they come with bathtubs. And that gives me a little more space to relax and spread out. So I love Holland America for that at this point in my life. But Lori, I think as we all progress through our lives and our cruising careers and, our different decades of our lives and different phases with or without children, I think these questions change. I know for me, they really do change every couple years as I evolve and look at different things that I enjoy doing. And I think it's going to continue to evolve for us as eventually my husband and I are going to become empty nesters, most likely, right? Our son has to, at some point, he will grow up. He may go to college. He may, he may move out. Like how I say he may move out, like they may have some chance of holding on to him. You never know. Maybe he'll get married and live on our property. That would be a dream come true. But anyway, we all have to think about these different things. So if it's just my husband and I, we're going to look at very different things. If it's just me and my husband, you're probably not going to find us on a cruise ship with a million water slides and crazy fun things to do. We're going to be looking for something different. We're going to be looking for a little bit more of a premium, relaxing luxury experience that goes to beautiful ports and that has a really comfortable stateroom. And then when we're off the ship is when we're going to do probably all of our high adventure, really active things, but probably a quieter cruise ship for us as we move into our older years. Nikki Grant. Oh, I love this question. Nikki said, what is the difference between cruise insurance and Allianz or the like? And what Nikki's doing is she's mentioning a specific company, and Allianz is a great provider, by the way, Nikki. But a cruise travel insurance policy and a third-party travel insurance policy are somewhat different, because the difference is that the cruise insurance covers you for the cruise, but a third-party one is going to give you coverage and reimburse you for out-of-pocket expenses if you have an issue like your hotel stay, there's a problem there, or a problem with your flight. And the cruise company is not going to cover that. If you buy travel insurance through the cruise line, your flight and your hotels and stuff are not covered. So really, it doesn't mean that buying the cruise insurance is a bad thing. Some people even double up or supplement it. But what it means is that travel insurance usually offers more and higher coverage than the cruise line offered plans. So you're going to have things like more medical expense coverages. You're going to have trip cancellation and other things like flights and hotels covered, right? The cruise line insurance, usually their benefit thresholds are a little bit lower. They're not going to let you cancel for as many different reasons, and you may end up stuck with more costs if something goes wrong. So third party is usually a better option, especially for that medical coverage and also for trip interruption. Those are really, really important, but you could also supplement it. The nice thing about buying an external plan, though, is that they have cancel for any reason clauses with cash reimbursement. So that might be something to take into consideration there. I think that was a good question to end on today. I hope I got all of your questions, friends. If I missed any, let me know. Oh, I did just think of one that I missed. Oh, this is a great one. Jared, one of our Patreon members, he had messaged me on another platform. And so I didn't have it on my Facebook list here. I almost forgot about this. But Jared has a friend who's looking to plan his first cruise. And we were trying to figure out what cruise line would be best for his friend. He said he's kind of mellow. He likes a quieter, more refined environment. And I had told Jared that I really think that for him, Celebrity, Holland America, or Princess are the way to go. If you are looking for a more mature experience and you want something a tiny bit more premium, I think that can be fun. But another one, Jared, that I didn't mention to you is if your friend has the budget for it and they're cruising solo, they might enjoy doing the Haven on Norwegian, but then hanging out in the single or solo area and doing some of those activities because they have such good solo cruise activities. That could be a combo that we hadn't thought about before. I want to thank everyone in our Facebook community so much for helping me out with this week's episode. Hopefully Mr. Cruise Tips TV will be back next week. His little voice is recovering and he's doing great. And we will see you guys very soon. Appreciate you all. Have a wonderful week. And until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.